Hello, you're back with Dave and Tim on the Single Malt Review, and today it's something of a rare treat for us.
Yeah, we have, in our travels up and down the land of whiskey, tasted a few Kilchomans, and the question's always been, goodness, wouldn't this whiskey be amazing if they just age it until it was 10 years old? Wouldn't that be the holy grail? And as it turns out, whiskey hero and friend of the channel, Mr. Ian Holmes, has answered the question. He has sent us in a wee couple of samples of Kilchoman distilled in 2007. So this is some of the first spirit ever to come out of Kilchoman. And it is 10 years old, or even a wee bit older, when it was bottled.
So this was independently bottled from a single cask.
Yes, and it comes from an extremely small print, the Kensington Wine Market. So there you go. Obviously a place who is well into their Scotch whisky if they can get hold of something like this.
Yeah, and Ian came through for us in the past when we were eager to try some higher proof Woodford Reserve bourbon at a time when it wasn't readily available in this country.
Indeed.
And now, answering whiskey prayers in the form of old Kilchoman.
So this really is going to be something of a revelation. We've wondered about this for so long.
Yeah.
What happens? What is the taste of old Kilchoman? Because we've tried 3-year-old Kilchoman. We've tried maybe something
5, 6, 7 even.
5, 6, 7-year-old Kilchoman, but we have not tried truly. You know, even talking generally, a lot of people would say 12 years old. I say 10 years old is when Scotch whisky is mature, and beneath that, it's young Scotch whisky. So this is the first mature Kilchoman we are going to be able
Kilchoman's
to
long
taste.
resisted the concept of releasing age statement whiskey. They're sort of shying away from it a little now as they have older spirit to offer, but no, at least at first they were more focused on releasing whiskey when it was right, when it was good, rather than slapping a particular number on it for arbitrary aesthetic reasons.
And it's been good. You know, the whiskey, they have not released anything
I've
that
never had
has
disappointing
been too
Kilchoman.
young.
I've had a fiery, confrontational, aggressively young Kilchoman before, sure, but never anything that's made me go, that's just a bit bland. In this case, it is from a single bourbon cask, cask number 255/2007, in case you're keeping track at home, bottled at a formidable 56.6% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, so it was kind of a keeper, that cask. Didn't let a whole lot go. And what I'll be really wondering is whether there's any diminishment of the peat and whether any other flavours have developed, because currently with Kilchoman it's really never been tasted as an old whisky. We don't know what the flavours of mature Kilchoman are. It's this undiscovered country of whisky, which makes it so interesting. So
speaking of colour though, this is virtually identical in colour to something we tried recently. Whether or not these videos come out in chronological order, we'll see. The 8-year-old cask strength Ardmore, which has been matured in an ex-Lefroy cask. It was about 59% ABV, but identical colour to this. A similar age and ultimately a similar cask background.
Yeah, I mean, I would put this one at a second fill. Probably not a third, but a second, I'd say. Definitely not a first fill bourbon. That would be, I think, considerably darker than this after 10 years old. Anyway, let's see how it's changed and how it hasn't as far as the Kilchoman.
On the nose, there is Kilchoman's distinct wallop of peat, but it has been mediated by the passage of time into something a little more woody, a little more approachable. Whereas before, it's always been so peat forward, so aggressively peaty that you would almost induce a sneezing fit by taking a long draw on this.
I wouldn't say that peat has receded.
I think it's been tempered somewhat. It's intermingled with more underlying character. Using a bourbon cask is going to impart less on the whiskey over a similar length of time, so that helps. But
Kilchoman, to me, the peat of Kilchoman has always been very mineral. It's been very coal smoky, as opposed to the more sort of tangy, fishy, bacony, oily peat of the other Islay distillers. Kilchoman has always been not necessarily dry, but very, very mineral. Almost for people in the field, and you'll know who you are. It has a very bituminous quality to it, and for everyone else, that's tar. That very sort of, it's quite a deep and heavy peated note, but it's very, very mineral. It is not particularly savoury. It's not particularly tangy or iodine-y, but it's very, very elemental, I suppose.
And using bourbon casks for Islay whiskey imparts a great deal of citrus sweetness early on, which counterbalances the peat to a certain extent. Whereas other Kilchomans I've tried have included some that have been barely over 3 years old, but matured the entire way in port casks, which just inundates a radically different set of flavours to it. So it'll be good to see how this has come out 10 years, but in bourbon casks only.
Yeah. So as far as the nose is concerned, at full strength, it is still peat first. That is by no uncertain terms, it is still first and foremost a heavily peated whiskey. In terms of developments, I think there's sort of a savoury warmth coming through from the oak, which is... It's still not atypical of Kilchomans because they have a good savoury note to them.
My immediate point of comparison is a couple of years ago when you tried a signatory Lashig, which was 9 years old, obviously heavily peated, also matured entirely in bourbon casks. And that's a similar kettle of whiskey fish to this one, except there is quite a stark difference here. This one has much less of that bourbon cask sweetness and vanilla and ginger on the nose.
Yeah.
This is more peat, but mediated slightly and tempered into something more...
I don't think the nose is going to give much away until we add water, so we'll have to see if the palate is more...
What percent did we even say? 56.6, which is...
So not weak by any means.
Oh, wow. There is a hearty woody sappiness, a big sting, almost vinegary acid sting from the alcoholic heat, but then just a fizz of peat and carbon.
It's
lime.
It's quite sharp, and there's a prickle, a real mouth-watering acidity to it, but just the concentration, the peat flavour, if anything, it's almost like it's become more peaty as it's aged.
I guess the exclusive bourbon maturation is probably delineated the peat from the other flavours. It's like it's compartmentalised it.
It's like drinking smoke. I mean,
It's
I know Islay whiskies are sort of the dirtier the better, but this tastes like an ecological disaster. This is almost... It's astonishing just how peaty it is. This is almost like Octomore levels, Ardbeg supernova levels of peat character in here, with, I can only assume, nothing near the ppm level of those whiskies.
But at the same time, it is astoundingly peaty, but not in the same way that, say, as you've compared, an Ardbeg is peaty. It's not an overwhelming, sense-destroying, just assault of peat. It's more, someone has taken the essence of what peatiness is and concentrated that flavour to deliver kind of like a masterclass in a glass of what peat actually tastes like. That is what is happening here. Someone has taken a snapshot of just the essence of peat and put it on this slide to project it right onto our tongues. That is what is going on here.
Amount of sort of charred flavour here. I think my taste buds are actually overloading because there is too much phenolic, smoky character going on here. I think it won't be until we add water that we can really crack this one open. It is so... Of all the whiskies we've tried in living memory, in terms of just flavour, how much flavour there is in 1 cubic millimetre of whiskey, this has got almost too much, and that it is blasting the buds.
And in a rare move for Cask Strength whiskey, I'm going to top up my glass. I poured quite a small measure of this, in part because of that formidable strength and knowing it was going to be a Kilchoman, but I want to be able to water this down and then truly appreciate it.
So a bit more support.
A little more from our 50ml miniature. Normally 50 mils doesn't seem like so much. When it's a whiskey of this magnitude, 50 millilitres goes a long way.
I think never has a little goes a long way meant more than in this particular whiskey.
If you were to use this as cologne, you'd be smelling like a freshly tar-sealed robe from the next decade.
You'd smell like a hard worker, right?
That's a reasonable slug of water. That's probably watered down to maybe 40-45%. It's gone rather cloudy. There's a bit of lemonade happening here.
All right. Now we're making some progress.
Now there is some bourbon cask happening. There is distinct lemon, and a bit of almost briny chlorine on the nose too. the peat is trying to break through the...
I'd say there is some extremely real chlorine on the nose here. It remains...
It's not from the water, though. The water I checked, and it is not
not at all,
chlorinated anymore.
Though the whiskey has opened up tremendously, it is still incredibly minerally driven.
Yeah.
This is such a... It's an earthy whiskey, almost with nothing to compare it to.
What's a fresh open bag of potting mix without the risk of Legionnaire's disease?
One can only hope. In fact, Legionnaire's disease probably couldn't even survive in this environment.
There's basically nothing on Earth that can survive in this level of ethanol, but...
Good grief.
Wow.
It's opened up, but it's only revealed more dimensions of peaty character going on. This almost makes me wonder if the early days of Kilchoman had a different peaty level to the ones today, because I could swear this is peatier than modern day Kilchoman, which we've actually tried quite a lot.
Yeah.
But this is, it's so peaty, and it's so coaly, it's so flinty. If you ever say broken rocks, you get that really flinty riverstone character to it. This has it in just spades.
Yeah. I've got to try it.
I mean, there's the lemon citrus and stuff is still here, but the ensemble of peaty characters is first and foremost up front. What's it giving you on the palate there with water?
That peat is so gentle now. It is a smooth, creamy river of lemon and lime and a little pepper, some bitter citrus leaves and kaffir lime. But leading into just a tang of salt, then a hit of chlorine and sulphur as the last minerally vestiges of peat claw at the edge of the cliff of your taste buds on the way down.
There is sort of like a colliery lemon citrus now, and a lot of very, very generous, savoury, warm oak. Almost a savoury, sweet oak coming through now, but...
The oak I didn't get so much, but the sweetness I see. Yeah, the peat, though, is so subdued, so civilised and mellow now compared to what it was before. It's still there, certainly, but it is far less at the forefront. It's not as assertive. It's more part of the ensemble now. Yeah,
it's done. It may even need more water, because I couldn't... To say that the peat is anything but... still large and in charge here. That would be a stretch.
That's pretty on my nose, certainly, but in comparison on the taste, it is.
Okay, there we go. With a bit more water, and I must be dealing with 35% or less strength here. So this is getting pretty weak whiskey, but it is still just guns blazing coming out there. And I think this is someone who's had more than one bottle of the hilariously peated whiskey. I've had have a wee stash of. In fact, I tasted them on the channel. Ardbeg Supernova with the ridiculous over 100 ppm level thing. I think this has a more lasting peaty effect than those. It is just so dense and so concentrated. Even though I've watered it down so much, just the absolute density of flavour in here is seemingly endless. It bodes like horrifyingly well for if Kilchoman ever comes out with a 10-year-old or, goodness help us, a 12-year-old release. They might really be onto something special over there, because this is, as young Islay whiskey goes, it is just a cut above. In no one thing. It simply has more taste.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily taste better or more complex or whatever than any other Islay whiskey, but it just tastes more. There is more of it going on.
If anything, this makes me just want to see old age statement Kilchoman. It needs to happen. This is too interesting.
I think this does prove that it's as good, if not better, than what we were predicting it would be. Which I don't think that's any secret to anyone in the world. Obviously, it was going to be good. A whiskey that's good young is going to be good old.
Yeah.
But the scale to which it's good is.
It's kind of like it's just a masterclass in peat flavour. This is the peat sensei who takes you aside and spends a decade teaching you the ways of peat. Whereas something like Ardbeg Supernova just picks you up and suplexes you through a table. That's the kind of peat experience you get there. Here, it's a gradual progression through the nuances and the flavours and just what peat actually is in a whiskey. I
think if I was a proper peat freak, as they call it, a proper crazy person that just needed the peat to feel it anymore, and many of those people exist. That's why Islay whiskey goes at such a premium. I would be way more set aback than I am, and I'm quite set aback by how this whiskey tastes. If I was a real aficionado of Islay whiskey, I would be just losing my mind. The finish is still going on. It feels like it will still be going on tomorrow. There's just that much weight on the tongue of the sort of sooty. It's like licking the inside of a steam engine. Obviously, the furnace, not the boiler. That would be fairly boring inside the burner. It would just be hot. But no, just licking a big old lump of charcoal. It is that sort of real, and it's giving me real difficulty in scoring it. If I was a peat freak, I'd say, well, screw it, this is a 98% whiskey, burn it all down, we're never coming back to this point, whiskey is over. I'm not that whiskey drinker. Don't ever let Jim Murray have this whiskey, or the system will be broken forever because it will receive 400 points. But I can do nothing but respect it for just the absolute force of character that's coming out of here. I like to think I'll drink any whiskey and enjoy it. It's almost too much for me. It is almost...
real force of whiskey nature.
It's almost a whiskey I need to spend an entire afternoon finishing one glass of to condense it down into sort of...
discern it and all its...
to 15 minutes seems like doing it an injustice, but never mind, it's 93. It is a staggeringly... Good is only the half of it. Calling it a good whiskey is selling it short. It is a force of nature that so many whiskies maybe would like to claim they are. Lefroy and Ardbeg certainly would. This one actually does it. This one actually knocks you over with just the supreme character that it brings. What's that doing to you?
It is easily 92 points from me. This is just the textbook, a 50 milliliter textbook in how the peat do. If you've wondered what peat, how am peat, why whiskey, then this will answer your questions. It is just unfortunate that it's not really available commercially. This is obviously a sample produced for a single supplier, possibly even for a local festival. So it's not a product that people get a chance to try. But hopefully, if we're lucky, Kilchoman will unleash some mature peated whiskey on us. Obviously not peated, it's Kilchoman, but some more mature whiskey, and keeping with their style, and keeping with this even. So we can all just wave in its glory. When
they do, when I see an age-stated Kilchoman, even if it's 8 years old, with a bit of top dressing, I'll be first in line, because this is staggering stuff from the small wee distillery down there. And that's from a couple of guys who've tried some really good Kilchomans recently. Really remarkable stuff. I would need to really gather myself to, I think, do it proper justice. But I'm not going to. We're going to move briskly along.
To say that we are very lucky to have viewers like Mr. Holmes, who has not only sought this out, but shipped it across the surface of a planet to us in the far-flung reaches of the South Pacific, so we can share in the experience.
Yes, but on that note, if you do want to send something in, we are amenable to such things. Obviously, it best be commercially sealed, or we're not going in there. Could be anything in that bottle. Could be the polonium. Who knows? But with that stipulation, we will take samples. So lay it on us if there's something you really want us to.
Feel free to get in touch via YouTube or Facebook.
But otherwise, do it the normal way and just bug us about it in the comments, and we'll get around to it eventually, unless it's super expensive, and then we won't. It's just the cruel reality. Anyway, Slanger, this has been a bit of a long one, but I think this has been a whiskey with... Goodness, it's been a whiskey with something to say. So we have, I hope, given it its appropriate voice. So we will see you next time. Stick around.